How to reassemble your Glock 17 lower. This is a Gen 5 Glock 17 and I've got all the pieces removed from this frame that can come off. The only things are the rails here that are molded into the plastic, the 4 rails, which gives it a good integrity. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall everything that we took out in the previous video. So first we're going to go and we're going to reassemble the magazine catch. So first we need to put the magazine catch in the correct way. Make sure you're putting it in, if you're a right-handed shooter, make sure you're putting it in this way. If you're a left-handed shooter, you want it to go in the opposite way. First you want to put that in place, just loosely in place, and kind of hold it there. Alright, while you're holding the magazine catch in place, you want to put the end of the spring right down in the bottom of that V channel. There's a hole down there. Just for it, push it down in there and make sure it's down all the way. Now you want to take a screwdriver and we want to push the spring over, and there's a little notch right there that it's going to go into. So just watch how we do that. Put pressure here so you don't move the magazine catch out of its place. Right, and just move it over here, and then it snaps behind that little catch, and now you're back in business there. Alright. Okay, next we're going to reassemble the slide lock and slide lock spring, and this is what holds the slide on to the firearm, so it's going to go in here like this, and it's very important that it goes in this orientation with this little lip here facing the back of the gun, little part number stamped on there that's going to face the back of the gun. So first we need to get the spring and drop the spring into this slot right in the middle there. Alright, now you want to hold the spring down. I'm going to use a punch. I'm going to push this down with the punch. Slide this in and just try to get it to capture that spring without the spring launching across the room. Okay, just kind of push it down. Try and get the edge of the slide lock on top of it like that. Alright, just kind of work it across there. Alright, now we got it locked in there. Hold it down, and there we go. Now as you can see, you grab both sides and you can push it down and the spring pushes it back up. Alright, success. Alright, next we're going to put the trigger and the trigger mechanical housing back in, but first we need to make sure that is assembled properly. So in the disassembly video I showed you how to take this spring out and put it back in. I can show you that again here so you don't have to go back to that one. I'm going to show you how to get this spring out. So basically you need to push it in this direction. Alright, you want to push it and this little plastic piece is going to come out. You want to pop it up into the top slot like that, release the pressure, and it's going to fall right out of there. Alright, to put this back together, this is a little bit tricky, so you want to hold it this way, alright, and you want to get this little end here to come through this top slot. So that's going to look like this. So once you get it lined up, you push it through there and then bring it down till it gets caught in the bottom slot, and now it is in there, and that's how it goes, just like that. Once we have this piece in there, that's good. So now we want to put the connector back in. So the connector, it sits over here like this. You can see the outline here where it goes. So you insert it into this slot which goes through. Put that in nice and square and then just push that in as far as it goes. Alright, it kind of sticks out a little bit like that. That's okay. when you put it back in the frame, it'll hold that where it needs to be. Alright, so that goes like that, and now we need to connect the trigger back up. So this sits in the gun this way because your ejector has to face toward the front of the gun. Alright, so then this is going to end up connecting this way. So the way this goes back in, the front of this cross here has to go down into this notch in this little stirrup piece here. So this is a little tricky to get this in here, so you have to kind of go in at an angle, put the front of that cross down into that notch, what I'm talking about right down here. You get this underneath right into this notch here. Okay, and then once that's in there, now you have to get this piece into the slot right behind it there. There's a little slot in the plastic. So you got to kind of work these around a little bit. Just try not to bend anything while you're doing that. And then pull it forward a little and turn it until it ends up sitting like this. Very important that this is all sitting the right way. Alright, and then this is behind the connector. Now this is all going to get squeezed together once it gets back into the frame. Okay, so make sure it looks like that. That's important right in there. Alright, so now kind of hold it together, and then I'm going to set it back inside the frame. So this drops in here, the trigger drops in the middle there, everything kind of just drops in. So the trigger, if you're looking through this hole here, the trigger is going to end up with the hole in the trigger here lines up with this hole, and you can look through there. Put something white back there, it's easier to see. So you can see if it's not lined up through that hole, you want to put that so it's lined up with the hole. Now we're not going to put the pin in just yet, so it doesn't have to be perfectly lined up at this point, but it needs to be lined up when we go to put the pin in. Alright, so next we're going to take the slide stop lever, and this is going to just sit right down there. These holes are going to straddle the holes in the trigger right there, so that's just going to sit down like that. Very easy to put this back in. And then again, you want to look through this hole and make sure you got a relatively clear shot through there for the pin to go through. Okay, it looks like we still do. And then lastly, we're going to put in the locking block, and this also slides in right here. Alright, and you can look through the hole to see when things are lined up. Okay, now when I look through there, see we have a pretty straight shot through there. So we're going to go ahead and take the trigger pin. We're going to push it through there. We may have to jiggle a few things around if they're not perfectly lined up. Move this around a little. Sometimes this is what gets in the way. Sometimes you can twist that a little. Alright, it's starting to go in. It's kind of going in. Alright, I'm just going to tap it. This is just a plastic hammerhead here. And that kind of just tapped it in. That's just about, I'm going to go in just a hair more so it's kind of even on both sides. There we go. It's got just a little bit below the surface on this side and a little below the surface on this side. So it's right in there. Make sure everything seems to work. Make sure this lifts up and drops down again. Alright, everything looks good. Alright, we're going to test the trigger after we put the slide back on. Alright, things are looking pretty good there. Now we have one more pin to put back in, and that pin is in the back here. My gun had this back strap on here. You may not have this back strap. I'm going to put mine back on. kind of snaps on the back there. You want to look through to make sure you have a relatively clear shot through for the pin. Looks like we do. I'm going to squeeze this a little, and this not only holds the back strap on, but this pin also holds on the trigger assembly in the back there. I'm just going to just a few light taps and a little final push with the punch. Still needs a little more coaxing there. Didn't quite come through the back there. There we go. Alright, just a little below the surface on both sides. Alright, now we're good to go there. Everything looks to be in the right spot here. Alright, and now we can take the slide, which we didn't do anything with, so the slide should still be assembled properly. Line up the slide with the frame slots and slide it on. Watch the ejector that you don't scratch the back of your slide there. All right, push it on, lock it. All right. Test that a few times. It feels good. Make sure that slide lock works, and it does. Always check to make sure you're unloaded, even though you know you are. Check that you're unloaded. And now we're going to press the trigger. Reset. Alright, everything seems good. Next thing we want to do is you want to watch this video here. It's a function and safety check for the Glock. It's a couple of steps you're going to want to go through to make sure everything is put together properly and everything is working right. Alright, if you like this video, please hit like below. Please check out the parts and the tools in the description, and thanks for watching.